we are currently seeing you as Henry on Pivoting. Was this a role that just happened to be come across your desk? Is it something you auditioned for?
It is. I got the script. A long time ago now. Although I'm on that weird pandemic time where I don't know. It feels kind of like yesterday. It also feels like a decade ago. But I got it right before. I think I got the script in maybe late February, pre-pandemic. So about 2 years ago, and read it, liked it, negotiated the deal, was ready to go to shoot the pilot to be considered by Fox for their schedule that following fall. And then, as you know, the world froze, and nobody really knew if it was coming back or not. And then heard from him again in the fall. We made plans to shoot that, and then we had to punt again. Anyway, very long story short, we finally got to make it, and now it's out in the world, which is awesome.
How was Henry then originally described to you?
What really appealed to me was the idea of playing a fundamentally selfless guy. I guess on the surface that could sound a little boring, but I came off playing this character Alex on Casual, which absolutely loved that show, absolutely loved that character, but he was a pretty self-involved guy, a really troubled guy. So Henry felt like a challenge to me. How can I play an interesting version of a decent guy who's a family man and wants to his primary focus is keeping his family on track. His wife spins out a little bit, understandably, when her best friend dies.
Right.
And Henry's left to kind of manage a lot of the day to day as she processes that. I'm rambling now, but that sounded like a really cool challenge to me. How can I kind of bring my thing to this good dude?
I have to say, there's such great chemistry between you and Eliza Coop. Was there a chemistry read for the two of you, or did you just find your footing along the way?
Well, the good news is, to bring it back to Casual, Eliza and I had 7-8 episodes of television romance under our belts.
Yes.
She played my first girlfriend on that show, and no, there was no chemistry read. And when I found out she was doing it, it made saying yes that much easier, because I think we are. For whatever reason, tuned into the same comedic frequency. We kind of know each other's rhythms, and that turned out to be the case on this show as well. I love working with her, and thank you for saying that about the chemistry. I hope it plays, because it certainly feels real when we're doing it.
Well, this is such a great comedic role for you, and you do have great comedic timing. Is that something that's always just been an innate ability for you?
I don't know. Maybe that's better answered by other people. I do know that to stand out in a family of 7 siblings, steps, halves, a stepmom, a stepdad, a lot of cousins, you got to do something. So I was always cracking wise, and then moving up through high school, I was the joker that did the pep rallies and stuff like that. A little bit of a class clown. I have trouble taking anything seriously. So the timing came. If I have timing, it was born in my youth, kind of managing chaotic circumstances.
Well, we've only got to see a couple episodes so far. Are there some particular moments, or maybe episodes, at least number episodes, that you can tease have been some of your favorite to work on?
There are a lot of great moments. I don't want to spoil anything. There is a moment, a scene. I want to say it's episode 6. I could be totally wrong about that. So please ignore my number.
6-ish.
But 6-ish. Later, back half of the season, Henry, in his own way, is processing Colleen's death and doing, I guess, a little pivoting of his own. So he decides to take up a hobby. and it is a hobby at which Henry is not very good, and at which I, Tommy, am not very good, and so we just leaned into that, and put it this way, we blew a lot of takes trying to get this set of scenes down, and I can't wait for folks to see that. There is there's an episode where Amy and Henry, Eliza and myself, try to rekindle things in the bedroom, and that to great comedic effect. And that's an episode I'm looking forward to people seeing also. So a couple of upcoming things. But I really haven't seen anything since we wrapped, so I'm kind of watching it along with the rest of the audience, and can't wait to see how these episodes came out.
Was there much room for any of you to improv in these moments?
Yes, and that's not always a good idea, but with this group of people and with Liz Astroff, the wonderful creator of the show, gave us permission very early on. You always want to get a couple takes and get the lines as written, and the joke writing on this show is second to none. But we did have free reign, maybe putting it too loosely, but we were allowed to improvise, and sometimes I think it works. That episode I'm talking about where Henry takes up a hobby, we did some of that on the fly, and I hope it came out well.
We'll see what makes the cut. We'll have to see what makes the cut, right? You'll be surprised, and I'm sure you'll point out to fans what you put in.
Yes, yeah.
What you contributed.
Oh yeah, I'll be bragging about it if my stuff gets in.
You mentioned breaking. I imagine there's plenty of it when it comes to these great episodes. Is there someone that breaks the most because of just the sheer ludicrousy sometimes of the moment, or just because of the takes just turn out to be a little too funny for words?
That's a great question. Most of my stuff, until the end, the storylines all start to kind of cross over. But for most of this season, most of my work is with Eliza, and so I can't speak necessarily for the rest of the cast and what their day-to-day experience was. But Eliza and I laugh a lot, much to the frustration of the crew, I would imagine. But I think there's a method to that madness. There's you get in the morning and you try to establish that rhythm by almost trying to break each other up so that you can kind of stay in that light, funny place as you do the scene work. So, my experience was that Eliza Coop makes me laugh all the time.
I'm sure it adds to the chemistry for the couplehood too, as well, because then, it just shows that you guys are a couple who has those like inside moments, and also, you're able to make each other laugh. So it makes it a special moment as well.
Yeah, and I think a shared sense of humor is such a beautiful thing in a couple, and especially a couple that is grieving. If you can't find something light in amidst that kind of tragedy, you're in trouble. So that's a big kind of that's a big thematic piece of this whole thing.
You're a part of social media. What kind of fan feedback have you been receiving so far?
Thank you. I kind of dip in and out of social media, but this is a show I'm very proud of, so I'm back in it. It's all been really positive. Also, my family seems to like it, so I can go back to my hometown of Birmingham, Alabama, with my head held high. I'm always paying attention to what they think, it's a different kind of role for me, and people have responded to that as well, which is encouraging.
You do a lot of comedic work. Is that something that you're just drawn to because of, your personality, or would you maybe want to try your hand at a little more drama in the future?
Yeah, and I do dip in and out of drama when I can. I think it's that thing of you. At least for me, the reason I like this gig is there's so much variety within it. So if I've done something that's really broadly comedic, the next thing I want to do is a medical drama, like I did this show Code Black a couple years ago. So yes, do I have hopes and plans to return to drama? I definitely do. That said, I think I see the world through a comedic lens, and even when I'm working on dramatic stuff, I try to bring some humor to it, because stuff that is too heavy I don't know, too sentimental always rings false to me. It doesn't seem like the world I live in.
Well, I think pivoting is such a great vehicle for you because it mixes a little bit of both, the loss of a friend, but also this relationship you have with your wife. So I think it's kind of a perfect little sweet spot for you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, and when I'm looking at comedies, I to kind of flip what we were just talking about, I am looking for something with some emotional guts to it. You want a good bedrock of real people handling real emotions, and then you kind of put the comedy on top of all that.
Have you been busy working on anything else, or has pivoting taken up most of your time these days?
Took up most of the fall, but I also do this show, Rugrats. I do the Rugrats reboot for Nickelodeon, Paramount Plus, which has been an absolute blast. And I'm currently working on a drama, actually, that I don't think I can talk about, but it will be out sometime in the next year. It's a little stint on a TV show, and I also write a lot. So I spent, if there was a silver lining to this. For this pandemic, I was, not leaving the house a lot, and was spending a lot of time pouring myself out onto paper.
You've had quite a lengthy career in this wonderful industry. Has there been some favorite projects you've been a part of?
Yeah, I mean, too many to count. I mean, I think about the first, those projects that let me sort of move into other areas. I look back very fondly, for instance, on the Mindy project. I played a character named Josh, who I think was Mindy's first boyfriend, and got to be really weird. And so I think that was an announcement to the town that, hey, this guy's kind of weird, and we can trust him with stranger characters. And so that opened up some opportunities to be my full weirdo self. Casual will always be very near and dear to me.
That was a good one too.
Getting to work with the wonderful Michaela Watkins for 4 years. It also felt like, and this is kind of rare, is that it felt like we got to tell a full story. We started it and ended it on our terms. We didn't get canceled midstream, so that it felt like they had a really satisfying emotional conclusion. So that's a sweet spot. But man, I could go on all day. I feel I'm just so freaking lucky to be able to do this. It doesn't feel like work at all.
What would you like to say then to everyone who are fans and supporters of the wonderful work that you do for our screens?
If you're interested in me, doing something a little different, tune into Pivoting, but more importantly, tune in for the rest of the cast. It's I am part of this murderer's row of talent with Maggie Q and frickin' Jennifer Goodwin, Eliza Coupe, JT Neal, Colton Dunn comes and visits us, Robert Baker. Like there's so much talent in the show. It's worth checking out, and I think. I'd also say regarding the show that we've all had a kind of crappy couple years. If you haven't, you've been on another planet. And my hope would be you kind of see yourself in this show a little bit. You see people dealing with really tough circumstances with some humor, and hopefully that lightens your load a little bit.